Hey, it's me and I'm JV the Antique Autistic. This is episode 4 in this series. I'm at the part where a lot of stuff happened, but I find sort of taking so long. My dad became very, very, very ill. He tried to make amends with the rest of the family. They would not allow it, and I understand that's their privilege. My dad would go in the hospital, and my mom would call me, and she would say, she'd say that, well, we'd go down and visit him, but one time she called and she said, this is different, your dad's going to die, and they're going to have this meeting with the chaplain and this and that, and you guys, and to make it as easy a death as possible. And I said, well, can I come now? And my mom said, no, because your father doesn't want that yet. He's upset. I said, is he scared? And I said, yeah, he calls the group that are going to be in there to help him deal with death, the death squad. And he's terrified of them, but that it really helps to know his loving family is going to be there by his side. Okay. So the day came, it was just a couple days later, and, and I should have known better. I said, Bobby will come too. Well, Bobby was my dad's favorite member of the family, huh, honey?
Absolutely, yes.
They were very, very close. And so everyone else was so mean to him. And I understood. I didn't understand why. Never understood how it was okay to abuse me, and that should be forgiven. I should forgive them, but not allowed to forgive him, which is just so crazy to me. And if they didn't want to forgive him, fine, but then they shouldn't have come to this thing, which I expected, just whatever, make him happy, as Jim Beam, dancing girls, whatever. And I go into the room, and I think they gave me a later time than others because I was there last and I wanted to be there early. And there were all these his bed was propped partly up. I'm wearing these glasses. I wore them last time because I was afraid I was going to cry. I didn't, but I'm pretty darn sure I'm going to cry on this one. And there was all these empty chairs, and all the hospital staff and stuff who were there, and the family, including the two monsters, were there standing against the wall. And nobody said anything, and I sat down by my dad, the only one who sat by my dad, and started rubbing his feet. My mom, his bed was partly up a little bit, so he couldn't see that behind him, basically on the wall, but where he couldn't see was my mom and monster number 2. And she was sitting in a chair. I remember looking at her and thinking, God, I didn't realize she was in a chair for the longest time, thinking, oh my gosh, Mama shrunk so much. That has nothing to do with anything. But anyway, it was, I can't even go into it because it was too horrible. They basically made it that day to let him know how much they hated him, okay? It was really awful. It was beyond horrible. It was worse than the 9th circle of hell. I mean, it really was like just stepping into Dante's Inferno. It was so horrible. And it was so horrible. And finally he said, get out, everybody, get out. He was crying. My mom, he was calling for my mom, and he's going, where's my wife? Where's my wife? I couldn't see my brother, monster number 2, put his hand over her mouth and held her back. And he was going, where's my wife? Where's my wife? And he was crying and crying and crying. And I went out, my sister, I don't know, somebody, monster number 1, said it was worth waiting my whole life to see him know everybody hated him, to see the suffering in his face. And I said, I don't hate him. And she goes, well, you don't count. And, turned off just for a minute, honey.